Welcome back to another episode of the Downsizing Roadmap Podcast with your hosts, Jodi Roscoe and Heather Fisher. We're talking about all things downsizing, from our own experiences with clients to guest experts. Let's make downsizing easier, one conversation at a time. Hi, welcome to Downsizing Roadmap Podcast. Today we're going to talk about 10 questions you can ask yourself. Like one of them is, would you buy it again?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about questions that relate to different reasons of why you might be keeping things, and what different questions kind of go with different reasons, and just to maybe help yourself get out of that rut that you're in of if it's like, hey, I can't make any decisions on any of this stuff. Number one, what's the underlying reason that you're having trouble with it? And then what questions can you ask yourself to give yourself a little bit of clarity around what that looks like? Yeah. I'm Jodi Roscoe.
I'm Heather Fisher, and we're going to just help you get unstuck a little bit today. I think we hit walls of decision fatigue, walls of too much, walls of how do I get started? And these questions will just, help you move past some of those stopping points to get you to the finish line.
Right. So I think we get a lot of like, hey, should I keep it or should I let it go? And that's such a broad question.
Yeah.
That sometimes it's hard to answer it. And we've talked a lot about when you put parameters around things, it makes it easier. And so I think maybe these questions will make it a little bit easier just by putting some different parameters around it of like, instead of just looking at something, be like, oh, do I need to keep this or not? Like, that's just too vague.
Yeah, we definitely hear that in our classes, just broad categories of, should I keep all my china? Should I keep all my photos? Should I keep all of my fill in the blank? And there's so many layers as to the personal story, back to stories, the personal story for each person, that those questions can't be answered in that general sense by us.
Right.
But these questions will help you answer it for yourself on whatever is the sticking point.
So why does the right question matter? I think that we just get stuck in our one straight line of thinking. And remember, stuff is just stuff. And so we really have to start thinking about what are the stories behind it and why am I keeping it? Is it because I feel guilty? Is it because, I'm afraid I'm going to miss it once I let it go? Is it because somebody gave it to you? What's the emotion behind it? Is it because it costs money? It's valuable in some way? Like why are you having a hard time letting it go? And I think sometimes we just need to create some space for reflection or logic, over emotion, or clarity over our emotions, or whatever that looks like, to figure out, what's holding me back on this thing, why am I having trouble with it?
I think answering these questions and making decisions on things based on some of this gives you a little more comfort against the feeling of, oh, I just gave away too much.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you that peace of knowing you thought it through and there was reasons why you didn't need to keep it, instead of feeling just like a sweeping loss because you've attached some reason and some thought to it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little less drastic.
Yeah, and I think the quality of the questions that you ask, Tony Robbins says this, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And I think sometimes we don't ask ourselves quality questions about it because we're not doing any kind of deep thinking about it. And we talk to our real estate team about this all the time when we're talking about helping people with their houses and making sure that they're asking quality questions to get to, finding the right home for our clients. Like, that's super important to us. And so asking the right questions can really make it so much easier. Yeah. So it's a tool. They're just mental tools for us in a way that we can filter out things a little bit differently.
Yeah, just saying keep it or toss it is too blunt. It doesn't give it a lot of thought around it.
Right. So, okay. So what helps, so what are our questions going to be? So number one, our first question is going to be, would I buy it again today? Yeah. And this is great for big ticket items or someday gadgets. I know we've talked about my ice cream machine. that, you may or may not use, and you think, oh, we spent money on it and I should keep it. And, it's a bread maker. It's a, whatever it is. And ask yourself that.
I think exercise equipment.
Exercise
fall
equipment
into
falls into that
category
one
easily.
Yeah, things you really thought you want, that food dehydrator you wanted, or whatever it is. Would you spend $200 on that again?
Trendy items. The item of it seems every holiday season there's a new something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's not that it's not a useful item still. And it's not that you just may not be using it, right? Just because it has use, if you're not using it, then it's not doing you, purpose in your life. And somebody else might think, oh my gosh, I make bread every day and I want that bread maker, and it would be amazing for them. And so, so just be honest with yourself. If you had to buy that again, would you actually spend money on it? And sometimes that helps you reframe that ownership as like an active choice of actively using something, because sometimes the answer is yes. Like, yeah, I would need this again.
Yeah. I think you said it too, that for someone else, the answer may be completely different.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Right.
It's
not the thing itself. It's how it's fitting into your life. And so there's some other questions that are around how it's fitting into your life, but is it?
Yeah. Yeah, not just that it has life left, but is it supporting your life?
Correct.
That you have to do.
Correct. And so I would say most of the time you wouldn't buy it again often, especially if it's been in a cabinet and hiding somewhere in storage or whatever that looks like. You're not using it enough to be able to, really tell yourself, yes, I'd be happy to spend that money over again.
Yeah.
And you have to let go of the guilt that you did spend that money in the first place, and you're going to let it go. So, maybe you could get some money for it. Maybe you can sell it. It's never going to be the money that you paid for it. But also it doesn't need to be sitting in there making you feel guilty that you didn't use it like you thought you would. So
exactly.
Time to cut your losses on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Question 2, if this disappeared tomorrow, would I notice?
Yeah, I think this is best used in overfilled spaces, like when you're feeling like, ugh, this room is too much for me, or this area of my house is too full of stuff. What could you let go of that you wouldn't even notice was gone?
Yeah. Yeah, we've, we moved recently, and our youngest, who's still in the house, was away at college during most of the move, and now she's been back over holiday breaks and just back in the house, and it's been interesting to see what she notices.
Is there or not?
Yeah, because we've given and donated a lot, and there's been a couple things that she's like, hey, what about
Where's
this?
that?
And it is stuff we chose to donate, and it is nothing super important, but the couple things she noticed. But then I think about the scope of how much we sold or donated or gave away and didn't bring with us. And if it's only these couple things,
right.
Someone that wasn't there through the process is just like, oh, wait.
Right.
And it makes it feel okay. Like, it's okay. We didn't need all that stuff.
I know I've talked about, my friend coming over and doing our kitchen, and we had like 13 boxes and I couldn't even tell you what was in it. But you're going to find that this is either in spaces that are overfilled, and you just don't see the stuff anymore. If you have a lot of decorative stuff out, and you just don't look at it anymore because you're just so used to it. So trying to decide which of those things is actually important to you and which is just there because it's been sitting there for 10 years and you're used to seeing it, but it may not be important to you. But also, I think this is a great one for your linen closets, the top, shelves of the cabinets in your kitchen, all of the places that you have put things that you probably wouldn't miss because you aren't actually using them.
Yeah. This question, we've talked about this before, but oftentimes, the sign of having too much stuff is not always like, oh, your house looks like a hoarder lives there, or there's no surface areas. You can have too much stuff and your house still look very organized and tidy because of that storage space like you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about when I cleaned out my linen closet, and at the start of it, it was organized baskets and the shelves weren't overflowing, but cleaning it out, we still had a whole garbage bag full of expired things and things we didn't need. So even, just opening the door and going, oh, it's good in there, and shutting the door again, there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't notice if it disappeared and those shelves were just empty.
And if you're not sure, this one is a good one for the maybe box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great one. If the tool that you're going to use around it is, I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to pack this box full of things, and if I haven't opened it in 6 months, knowing what's inside and wanting to go get it back out, it's time to donate it, because you've already looked at it once. You don't need to look at it again. It's just time for it to go because you didn't actually need it and you don't even remember what's in that box now. So remember, we don't open that box unless we know what's in there that we need to get back out.
Yeah, once you hit that date and you haven't needed to do that, it just goes straight to
And
donation.
if you need it, great. Like then you remember what was in there, and I'm going to need to use that, and that's what the maybe box is for.
System is. Yeah.
Okay, so that one was, if this disappeared tomorrow, would I notice? The next one is this who I am now or who I was then?
Yeah. Categories that come up are hobbies, crafts that you might have done. I think your wardrobe is a big one for this too. Are you still going to the events or the places that you have a large wardrobe for? Just as things change and you phase out of different activities,
right?
Are you still holding on to too much stuff around that category?
Yeah, I mean, wardrobe could be, does that fit you anymore? Like, is your body different, or are your activities different? Like, wardrobe could be both.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of room to go through that. We've talked about tips for taking it all out and just deciding what you're going to keep for the wardrobe category. But looking at especially hobbies and crafts and sports, athletic equipment, things like that, is there ways that you've reinvented how you do that activity, that maybe it's a smaller scale, or you're not doing it at home and you don't need quite as much equipment, or is it something you still do and love, and that's the things to keep? Right.
Crafts, like, I had a bunch of stuff that I've said this before, I did with my kids, that's not going to happen anymore. And that's okay. We're moving on to other things. So just take a look at what you want that future to look like and whether that stuff fits into it, or that was a time in your life and that time is gone. Bookshelves are also something that you can often clean out. The bookworms, which I'm one of them, are we going to keep all those books? And honestly, if you're going to read the book again, then I would keep it. If you're not going to read that book again, then maybe it's time to share that book with somebody else who loves books too, and just kind of create that path for it.
Yeah, and I think just what you said about books and could be applied to other things, but it doesn't mean you're fully giving up that interest. You're just making sure that what you have fits how you are doing that. So I think even people with craft rooms, they still may be crafting and quilting and doing all of that, but do you have years of fabric that you're not going to revisit and you go get new for the next project? Is there room to downsize some of that? Do you have, too much yarn or too much of something, and then you're still bringing in new? It's the same as so many things we talk about, but if you're bringing in, are you letting out, or do you just have an overstuffed craft room where you might get a whole new, inspiration and motivation if you clean that out and just have a fresh, empty space with more empty breathing room to do that craft again? You might find a new joy in it.
Yes. Yeah. We're not saying let go of your hobbies. We're not saying that. We're saying if there's ones that are sitting there that are abandoned, then those can go.
Yeah.
So that one was, is this who I am now or who I was then?
Yeah.
Okay, next up is, could someone else use this more than I do?
Yeah. This can help with the guilt around letting go, because there's always someone that can use the things that you no longer want or need. and share that. We see that so much when we have our donation person come out and help, with our clients that are moving, and they're picking up the donations, and they're so excited to get it and know that it's going to help, people in need, build houses, put together their households with these items. There's someone that can use whatever it is that maybe isn't right for you anymore.
Yeah. So if your mindset of holding it onto it is, it's still useful. It is,
Yeah.
but are you using it? And this one's also good for things that cost more, they're higher quality or they costed a little more. And so you're feeling like, I
Guilt.
probably shouldn't give that away because that cost, X amount of dollars or whatever. I at one point decided I was going to learn how to sew. And so I bought a sewing machine, and it sat in the basement where I didn't learn how to sew. And every once in a while, Mark would be like, "Hey, how's that sewing coming?" I would be like, And then I was in a friend's store, and she was, her other friend was teaching sewing classes to kids, and she was saying, "Hey, she needs some more sewing machines." And I'm like, you know what? I have a sewing machine, and I'm not going to learn how to use, sew with it. Like, I mean, let's just be real. Like, if it had sat there for 4 or 5 years and I wasn't doing it, like, I'm not going to be doing it. And maybe in the future that's something that I will have time for doing, or maybe not. But in the meantime, the sewing machine is getting old, and it's just sitting there. And so I donated it to her, and so she, I'm assuming now, uses it to give classes to the kids, and that made me feel great.
Yeah, they're learning a skill, and you have let go of that guilt.
Yeah, and I don't have to look at it. Mark doesn't have to ask me about it because it's not there anymore.
Exactly. So that was, could someone else use this more than I do? Number 5, am I keeping this out of obligation or intention?
I think the should word is like so, it just kind of resonates around in your head. Not because you want to keep it or because you love it. It's like, I should.
Should I keep this?
I should because
Yeah.
whatever reasons you're coming up with in your head.
If you're hearing that in your voice, the answer's probably no.
Yeah, because if you're feeling that like weight of the should word, that means you don't love it. Like, it's not like you're looking at it and going, "Oh my gosh, I love that."
I'm
Like,
absolutely not giving this away.
yeah, I love it, and I'm going to put it in this place of honor somewhere in my house, or I can't wait to see that one Christmas decoration every year when I pull it out of the box. Like, I love it so much. It's like, ugh, I wonder if I should keep it. I mean, I should. Like, that is not, like, if that's how you're feeling, honestly, none of those things should still be in your house.
That answers your question.
Yeah, yes. So keeping it out of obligation, it's really good for items that are tied to other people's expectations. My mom was a keeper. I think we've talked about that a lot. And she wanted me to be a keeper too. And she wanted my daughter to be a keeper. Like, she wanted everybody to be a keeper because she just saw so much value in things, in her thought process through her lens that she, used to look at the world. And so I still hear her in my head feeling like, "Oh, you should keep that," or "That's still good, Jodi," or like, "You should," whatever. And so, but those things, that's her expectations around it, right? And not necessarily me being true to myself about do I love that thing. And there are lots of things that I have of hers or that she gave me that I do love. So don't get me wrong on that. But if it's not one of those things, why am I keeping it? Am I keeping it for myself, or am I keeping it because other people might expect me to? And it puts that more, it puts that thought process into your authenticity and you versus your obligation and feeling like, that should word,
Yeah, I think this goes back to, a mistake that many of us often make, but we have our own stories around things, but we haven't shared that story or made that story part of the next generation or the people around us. We just have a story of why it's important to us, and then that gets passed on with that obligation of the importance in the giver's head based on their story, but that does not translate to how you feel about it if it's not your own memories and your own story. And so there can be that guilt, though, of knowing how important it was to the person giving it to you, but not holding that same thing for the stuff. And those are okay situations because there are plenty of things that will honor that person that you do love and cherish and have memories around.
And that's the key, because I think you need to put it into context of the bigger picture of how many things of that person's do you have and which ones do you actually love. Because if you're looking at it just through that lens of just the one thing and you're like, oh my gosh, that was my mom's or that was my grandma's or that was somebody's and I should keep it just in the fact that it was theirs. Think about how many of the things in you have that were theirs. You might have 50 things or 100 things that were theirs. So you can keep the top 10 things that you love so much that were theirs and still be honoring them and their legacy and all of that without having to keep it just simply because it was passed on to you, possibly because they were procrastinating making decisions around it, not even because it was their favorite thing.
Yeah, we see this happen a lot where people, in that time of crisis when someone has passed and you're grieving, they just take so much and physically move it from the person's house to their own because you have to move on logistically with selling a house or getting out of a space. And they bring all of that, but there's no intention around it. Mm-hmm. They just bring it as kind of a guilt package of, I'll do this later. And, when it's time to then go through it, then you've layered on I've had it so long, or I own this now, or it's always been there.
It's my responsibility.
It's my responsibility. And you're layering so many things. And if you can peel back the onion and go back to that original decision that would have been ideal to make at the front end, it's back to what makes me, cherish the memory of this person and remind me of them, that I want to love and honor and have in my home, on display or as part of my story. And the rest is okay to let go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, things that we would feel this way around would be gifts that people gave us, heirlooms from other people. Guilt's not a gift, right? Yeah. Guilt is not a gift. And so this one's a hard one for people. And I think I just went through our Christmas decorations, and you were talking about the stories. And it's okay if you have a story around something and you still don't want to keep it. Because my daughter she was like, you're cracking me up, Mom. Like, you're holding this ornament and you're telling me the story about it. And then you're like, but we can donate it. And so it's because I had so many, and it wasn't the most special one, and that's okay too. So I can know the story around it, tell it to her, and then I really genuinely feel like not all of them are going to, be something that I'm going to miss. Like next year, if that's not in the box, like it's going to be okay because there are so many that are amazing.
Yeah. And
it can be just that things get out of hand because there's just too many. When you have too many, none of them are special, right? And so
I think we tend to start out looking at a category with a very all or nothing mentality, and we feel like if we even start, then we're going to lose all, like some outside force is going to be like, we have to give it all away. And so we hold on tight and don't want to get started. But if we can really look at it with intention, like you did, what are the ones that I treasure the most, and be okay with some going, it's a much gentler process, and you'll feel so good when you unpack next year.
Yeah.
And you know that those are all the ones that go on the tree, and there's not the thought process. You just are decorating and loving it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So that was, am I keeping this out of obligation or intention? We spent a lot of time on that one because I think that's one that people really, really struggle with.
Yeah.
Heirlooms and gifts you give, and guilt is something that is really strong. Okay. Number 6. Does this add to the life that I'm creating? Yeah. So you kind of have to get dreamy first and figure out what it is the life is that you're creating before you can ask yourself that question. But It helps with your future alignment of your vision of what your life is going to look like. So if it's a big transition or a move, if that's what's happening and that's why you're cleaning things out, this is a great question to ask yourself after you've done some thought about what that future is going to look like. It brings you some goal-oriented clarity of like, hey, this is what I want it to look like, and this isn't, this was part of my past.
Yeah, some categories that might fit into this question well would be, your party hosting.
You have the place setting for 40.
Yeah, the punch bowl that you used to use, things like that just are not going to be part of the future you're creating, and that's okay. But don't keep all of that surrounding you if you don't need it anymore.
Yeah. So what is your future life going to look like? And then does this fit into it? And it's okay if it doesn't. And you're not losing anything about your past by letting go of the things. Because again, stuff is stuff, right? So you have all the memories, you have all of that stuff. That doesn't mean that it's a loss or that you're losing it. If you're choosing to go forward in a different way, then that choice means that you may not need some of the things that you have now.
Yeah, absolutely. Question 7, if I had to pack this today, would I take it with me? I think we did an episode recently on the 1 week rule and, challenging yourself with if I had to move in 7 days, what would I take? And I think this goes back to that question. If you had to pack up your house just in 1 day, if they were showing up unexpectedly with the moving truck tomorrow, what would you want on the truck first?
It wouldn't be the empty boxes of my technology things that we still have.
Yeah.
The empty phone box, the empty laptop box.
Yes, things like that.
Things that we're just like, why did I
a million pieces of Tupperware or other storage containers and
all the cords that you're not sure what it goes to.
Yeah. Yes. Gosh, what so much stuff. The stuff that you don't even know what's in the boxes. I mean, the attic, the garage.
Right, that's been down there so long and you just...
The basement. Are you going to have somebody start there? Likely not. So think about those choices of where would you send the movers first. If you knew, okay, if it's not on the truck by 6 p.m., it's not going, where would you focus first? And then consider what wasn't on that list, and maybe there's some room for things to go from wherever that wasn't.
Yeah, and if you are going to move, what's that new place? What's the feel of it? What do you want it to feel like? And does the stuff that you have now fit into that, right? And or is it time to get a new sofa? Is it time to get, what in it? And even if you're going to stay where you are, maybe it's time for a little refresh. You can take a look at that. And maybe it's not a whole sofa, maybe it's just throw pillars or something that, changes the look of it and kind of gives you a different feel. So if you have to pack it, is it going to, if you're genuinely packing, is it going to fit in the next place? If you're not, if you're staying where you are, just kind of being brutal about like, would I really want this?
Yeah, looking around each room by room, and thinking, what is just in my vision that I've forgotten? I mean, really look at it with fresh eyes. Go, right to left and go around the room. What's really in there? Or is it just stuff you don't notice anymore because it's been in the same spot for so long?
I mean, even give yourself that thought process of packing, like how much would it cost to move it, right? Like, do you care about it enough, like that you would pay money to move it?
Yeah. So that's, if I had to pack this today, would I take it with me? Next question, number 8. What would I tell a friend in this same situation? This is a good one. We haven't addressed this one. Yeah. I think we do this.
Yeah.
Jodi and I text each other pictures of our closets and pantries and
bags of things that were
bags in the donation. That's what our friendship entails. Joint donating of
support.
Things. Yes, joint support. But I think it's a great thing to have. And if you have that person that might be in a similar situation, just that encouragement and the like, hey, be brutal with me. I think you had that situation when your friend came over during COVID and cleaned out your kitchen. you had her personality being much more third party. I'm not thinking of the
Yeah,
third,
but she had no emotional ties to any of it, right? So there was no guilt for her, like to get rid of it, or there was no. She was just being very objective.
Yes.
You don't use that. No, you're right. I don't use it. It was in the far back top closet, cupboard, or, top shelf of a cupboard. You're right. I don't use it. And even if it was cute or if it was like whatever, it was just like, you don't use that. And she was just being objective because she didn't have any ties to it. And she was right about it. And so this helps you if you're feeling like emotional about things. I think this is the one that kind of helps you get unstuck about that. Like my friend would be like, you do not need those, box of letters from your, third ago boyfriend or whatever it is, right?
Yes. I think we've had some episodes on different downsizing personalities. And so some of us are much more sentimental about things, and some people are more matter of fact on planning, and there's just different personalities that come into play. And so you really will do yourself a favor, if you're pulling in a friend to help you, to have someone with maybe a different personality.
Don't pick the emotional one.
You don't want the one that's going to encourage you to keep everything because they feel the same way. Get a little support. But I think this question can work just for yourself, that if you were trying to look at your own space objectively as if it wasn't your space, what would you tell someone? What advice would you give, a friend struggling, not, feeling overwhelmed, but not knowing what to get rid of, what was okay to let go of? What advice can you give that to yourself, from a different bird's eye view?
Yeah. And if you can't do it, find the friend and have them do it for you.
Yeah. Having someone sit beside you as you're making those decisions, and encouraging you that it's okay and that you can do it makes a world of difference if you have that.
Because I will say, telling the story about the thing helps you to let it go. If you don't love it, or if it's not whatever, just being able to be like, hey, here's how this was and this is what happened with it, but I'm good. Like I can let this go.
Yeah.
And just being able to say it can help you emotionally release it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So 9, have I already gotten what I need from this? This can help with sentimental items and the purpose of holding on to an item. An example might be, souvenirs and playbills from shows and ticket stubs and things.
Maybe even kids' artwork.
That would definitely fall into that.
Yeah, like memorabilia or keepsakes.
Yeah.
Some, my mom always kept like every card everybody gave her. So then I did, because like she taught me to do that. But like I found a bunch of cards that, and they they didn't even have any like really sentimental things written inside of them. It was just, birthday cards that were just signed with somebody's name. And I just, that isn't honestly something that made me feel amazing when I saw them. I was like, oh, I have these. It wasn't just, I don't know.
I think that's a good category or similar categories to put parameters around, like one keepsake box. Because it's nice to have a little bit of emotional attachment. And, I keep some cards, from the most special people or with the message, a really heartfelt message that I love. But I have, a card box of, whatever dimensions, about jewelry box size. And the lid didn't sit flat anymore because I just kept putting more and then putting the lid up on top of the stack. And I went through it before I moved, and it had become, instead of a choice, I was just had started at some point just putting every card. Yeah. So a birthday would come, and I'd get a nice card from an acquaintance or something, but that's not something I need to keep for 50 years. It was a lovely moment, but I don't need to keep it. And so just having that parameter of, I don't have to throw away everything, but what's my keepsake box size,
Mm-hmm.
and what's the most important things that you can then revisit, because it can be somewhere where you know where it is, and when you're feeling sentimental, you can pull it out and look through those memories.
Yeah. I mean, other stuff that you've already gotten what you needed from it might be like I was opening boxes that were in my basement that have been in there. Well, they actually came from my mom's house. Like some of the stuff, I just took a box and I just kind of opened it, saw it might be something that was mine, and closed it up and brought it because I couldn't deal with it. And so one of the boxes was the furniture from my Barbie dream house. 70s, 80s, whatever it is, vintage furniture. And it was not in the best shape and whatever, and it kind of made me laugh, but I don't need to keep it. Like it served its purpose then, loved my Barbie dream house, but it's not something that I, need anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe that is just something that's time in your life has passed. So the value you got from it was something you got and loved, but that time is past. So it might not even be something so sentimental. It might just be something that
the purpose,
the time of your life has
moved
passed.
on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and you got what you needed from it at that point. So
Yeah.
okay. The last one is, what emotion do I feel when I hold this? Right, because the emotion you want to feel is like, this is so great. I love this. Like it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Not, I got to keep this because
Someone
XYZ.
gave it to me. Yes. I think there's a lot of rationalizations that we all do. I think too, sometimes we talk a lot about people being attached to sentimental items. I think on the flip side, there's probably a lot of listeners, and I maybe fall more on this line, that you feel guilt for not feeling more sentimental about something.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I keep things because I feel like
The should word.
like I should
Feel sentimental
want
about this.
this kid's artwork more than I do want to keep it. And it's not a reflection of the care we have towards our stories or our, the people in our life or where they came from. But there's a lot of, emotion both ways of keeping things because you feel like you should, keeping things because of guilt, just a lot of emotion around stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes it's not even emotion. Like if you're like, I'm going to get rid of your coffee maker, like, no, I need that. Like my emotion there is like, when I hold it, I feel like I need this because it's something that I use every day.
You're saying that to someone that's had a broken coffee pot for 5 days now. I think the Amazon box finally arrived today.
No.
So, yes.
But some of it isn't even emotional, some of it is just functional. Like I need this. Like, so if you hold it, like, it's like, oh yeah, I love this because I use it every day. Some of it is like, I love it because it means something special to me. Some of it is, I don't even know what this is. Like, why do I have this?
Yeah. I think that just, again, it's being intentional about noticing the emotion you feel about things and then making decisions on it and moving stuff out when it's not a positive emotion.
Yeah. So, all right, those are our 10 questions. You can post those somewhere, and when you're decluttering and you're feeling a type of way, pick out one of these. It's not like we're asking you to ask every question about everything, right? Different questions are for different things. And so, but it might be helpful to narrow your parameters from should I keep it or should I not, to more pointed questions about why you're keeping it.
Yeah.
And that should help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that just having these questions posted, and when you're feeling stuck on a category or an item, if something's just weighing on you and you're not sure what to do, these are a great place to visit and, just run through which question resonates with what you're struggling with and go a little deeper and, figure out why it's a tough category for you.
And if you're still stuck, then it's time to go get a coffee and stop for the day, because decision fatigue has just worn you out. So the questions should work. If they're not working, it's time to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's anything we can help with or any topics you need some help diving deeper into, please reach out to us or let us know any topic ideas for future episodes. We'll go into those in depth, and we will see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Downsizing Roadmap Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little downsizing inspiration. Have questions or ideas for future episodes? Reach out to us on our website, www.downsizingroadmap.com. Until next time, let's keep simplifying and moving forward.